energy continues to do well, right? Even on Monday when the market sold off, energy sold off, but then got a bid really quick when it came back. And so I think sectors like energy, which we've been early on and been overweight for 2 years, continue to go into that narrative you're talking about a narrow market. But in our portfolios, I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years talking about, covered calls and the strategy JEPI. We have about a third of our equity exposure in a covered call strategy because not only are the volatilities going to give you more on that premium, you get high quality names as well. And so I agree with you. I've been thinking about, the Marty Zweig, adage of don't fight the Fed, and that's where we've been the last 2 years. But the Fed is clearly being more hawkish. Absolutely. And I think the market is really struggling with, well, if we didn't fight the Fed last 2 years and the market went up, well, aren't we fighting the Fed right now? So I think that, earnings growth will be in line.
It's all about bandwidth or
but I think it's going to be a really choppy year.
Passing through some things or
I like
being in
covered
certain
calls.
types of
I do
markets.
agree
So
with
you
that
just
narrow
generally
lane.
say
We like energy.
Peacock
I think
scheme
pick
could
your
play
spots.
through amongst any kind of dealer
I ask you this all
contract,
the time, and
no
I'm
matter
going
what's
to
the
again, and I
X.
hope you'll forgive me for it, but you have that exposure to the ARC funds, right? And they've been hit especially hard. Kramer again this morning was suggesting if you have exposure to those kinds of stocks that you should use the opportunity that the market is providing you on days like today and get out and just sell them all together because they're never going to come back. Certainly not to the degree at which they were before they had this upset period.
This is my new one.
Make of
I
that.
just did this one a little while
Are you
ago.
still inclined? I know it's a
It just
small
winds up being
position
an example
in what is a
for
much
that
larger sea
SAT
in which you
bull
swim.
crap on multiple
But are you
choice for
inclined
being a
to
SpaceX
get out of the water
factory, solid
altogether
rocket
as it
fuel,
relates
liquid
to that?
rocket fuel, what is it,
First of all,
housing and
no.
compositions,
I think this
5
is a
Sigma.
classic
I mean,
case study
in
in sentiment
EX
because
or
just 2 years ago, certain
steps.
people were saying energy is uninvestable. And
When
now
you
everyone's falling
deal
all over
with
themselves to invest
I was
in energy.
being an asshole
So I
saying
think
fit this
investors
camp, I was
need to
going to say
understand how quickly things
other
change.
things.
And I think
But the product
and I've talked
line
about
of
this.
what they're
Over the
producing
next
one
few
over
months,
C here
it
is
could
the
be over
product
next
line
year,
and frame
those
rates
type of
to hydrogen
high
to
beta, high growth
fluvium
names, small cap
or
growth names
118,
will struggle.
and that's a
But
Tylenol
just
to
like when the
aspirin
tech bubble burst,
experiment
which was
with a
carnage
specific
for a few
isolation
years,
of
there
the
are a basket of companies that are
recrystallization
going to continue
at
to innovate.
the freezing point
We
of water.
originally allocated to ARKK, which we thought
7
was
days
the
a
best
week,
ideas
SpaceX be
portfolio
working on
because we
this on
wanted
the cut
venture
where X
capital
equals
exposure,
7
but
days
with
a week
the
for those
rigor
guys
of
over
the
a
public
cycle
markets.
is
And we
G2,
felt that was the
5
best
Sigma
mechanism to do that.
in
And
terms
so I
of the
think sizing
timeline
is
to that
important.
frame rate to
As
the
you know,
zenith of the
it's a
solid
small
rocket
position,
fuel,
and we're
liquid
just gonna let
rocket
it
fuel
sit.
housing
But I do think
composition,
the end of
bars
the
of
year looks
atmosphere
very
against
different
that standard
than
and
where we are right now.
equal but not equal
GDP
to
printed
when you get
for
to 2
Q4
over the
2021 at
causal
6.9%.
atmospheres or whatever
I'm gonna
composition
guess
might be
Q4
in there for
2022 is
testing
half of that.
at a
And
sensible
as
limit
growth
of
slows,
those
people are going to want to look for companies
organized
that are growing.
equations
That time is not right now.
from
So I
what
agree
is
with
the
Jim
sensible
as a
choice
trade.
of
I wouldn't be stepping in
the
there
realities
taking
at the
big
very
positions in these
farthest
high growth
point
names.
with a
But to say
housing
they're never going to come
composition
back,
at the
I think it's
latest
just like saying energy
product
was
lines
uninvestable in 2020.
of any composition limit.